India is one of the highest taxing nations. US President Donald Trump has alleged as he again criticized the country for imposing 100% tariff on American products, including the iconic Harley-Davidson motorcycles. Such a high tariff is not fair, Trump said on Tuesday while addressing the National Republican Congressional Committee annual spring dinner. Early this year, at a White House event to announce his support for the reciprocal tax, Trump had said he was satisfied with India's decision to reduce the import tariff on high-end Harley-Davidson motorcycles from 100% to 50%. Even this is not enough. This is okay, he said at the time. Trump has repeatedly claimed that India is tariff king and imposes tremendously high tariffs on the American products. Trump said, reiterating his often-heard remarks on Indian tariff structures,
I got a call from Prime Minister Modi of India. They're one of the highest taxing nations in the world. They tax us 100%. Look, he's nodding. You know what I'm talking about. They charge us 100% tariffs on goods. So they send a motorcycle, and they make a lot of them, Indian cycle. They send them to our country. We charge them nothing. We send a Harley-Davidson to India, and they charge us 100%. Not fair, okay? Not reciprocal, it's not fair,
said Trump. During his address to the National Republican Congressional Committee annual spring dinner, the Trump explained how these trade policies are successfully addressing the balance of trade issues with other countries. The trade talks with China are going on very well, said Trump. The world's two largest economies are locked in a trade war since Trump imposed heavy tariffs on imported steel and aluminum items from China in March last year, a move that sparked fears of global trade battle. Trump imposed tariff hikes up to 25% of $250 billion of Chinese goods. In response, China, the world's second largest economy after the US, imposed a tit-for-tat tariff on $110 billion of American goods. The top trade officials from America and China are holding talks to negotiate the comprehensive trade deal.
In fact, when I asked China, and I'm doing that, that'll be the end of the negotiation. If we get there, and let's see what happens. Who knows? I think we're doing very well. They need the deal more than we do. You see what's going on. They need the deal. And they're getting hurt badly with they're paying 25% on $50 billion worth of technology stuff. And they were going to pay 25% on another $200 billion. But I started them at 10 because I'm nice. And then
Trump said his administration is fixing broken trade deals to protect the American workers.
And we're fixing broken trade deals to protect the American workers. And we are standing up to China's chronic trading abuses and theft of intellectual properties and so many other things that they've done to us. I don't know how you people allowed this to happen for so many years. You've been here longer than me. But they really have. They've taken advantage of our country. And you know what? I respect them for it. I say it. We should have been doing that to them.
So what do you think of Donald Trump giving warning to India and China for making a higher tariff on American products? And Donald Trump keep going and saying India calls it on one of the highest taxing nations in the world. In Tampa, acting U.S. Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan said on Thursday experienced debris from an Indian anti-satellite weapon test to eventually burn up in the atmosphere, instead of creating a lasting debris field that could threaten other satellites. When asked about the comments by India's top defense scientist that the debris would burn up in 45 days, Shanahan said he could not confirm any particular time frame. But in terms of threats to other objects, that's consistent with what I have heard, that it will burn up in the atmosphere, said Shanahan to the reporters who were traveling with him on his way to Florida. The comments came a day after India said it used an indigenous developed ballistic missile interceptor to destroy one of its own satellites at a height of 300 kilometers in a test aimed at boosting its defense in space. In 2007, China destroyed a satellite in a polar orbit, creating the largest orbital debris cloud in history, with more than 3,000 objects according to the Secure World Foundation. Since the impact altitude exceeds 800 kilometers or 500 miles, many of the resulting scraps stayed in orbit. Asked whether he believed India, with a test at a lower altitude, had avoided China-like scenarios, Shanahan said, "That's my understanding." The Pentagon said on Wednesday the US Military Strategic Command was tracking more than 250 pieces of debris from India's missile test and would issue close approach notification as required until the debris enters the Earth's atmosphere. Lieutenant General David Thompson, a vice commander of US Air Force Space Command, said on Wednesday that the Indian test had hit the target vehicle. A US official speaking on the condition of anonymity said on Thursday that no new threats had risen from the debris yet. The official added that there was no information so far to cast doubt on the claims made by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Critics say such technology known to be processed or possessed only by United States, Russia and China raises the prospects of an arms race in outer space, besides posing a hazard by creating a cloud of fragments that could persist for years. Shanahan said the Indian test was a reminder about how space was becoming increasingly contested and underscored the necessity of creating a space command, a stepping stone toward President Donald Trump's goal of creating a space force. It really speaks to why we need to stand up Space Command. Think about the importance now of rules of engagement, the authorities, the tactics, techniques, and procedures, said Shanahan. India's ascent on the global stage has claimed another victory after its stock market overtook Germany to become the 7th largest in the world. India edged past the equity market of Europe's largest economy for the first time in 7 years, according to data compiled by the Bloomberg. That means after UK leaves the European Union in the March, the bloc would have only one country, France, among the 7 biggest markets. The move reflects India's positive return this year as the company's reliance on domestic demand enabled them to avoid the meltdown in other emerging markets spurred by the Federal Reserve tightening and a trade war between the US and China. It also highlights the challenges facing the European Union, including its future relationship with the UK, a standoff with Italy, or the budget allocations and separatist clashes in Spain. While the MSCI Emerging Markets Index is heading for a 17% decline this year, India's benchmark S&P BSE Sensex is up 5% after seesawing throughout the year amid the oil price volatility. In the year dominated by the trade protectionism and punitive tariff by the Donald Trump's President of the United States administration on China, it's little bit wonder that investors have turned cautious over countries with heavy dependence on the exports. Germany derives more than 38% of its gross domestic product from exports based on 2017 data from the World Bank. The corresponding ratio for India is only 11%, meaning much of the stock market opportunity in the country comes from the domestic consumer stories. Reliance on the local demand and entrepreneurship also puts India ahead in growth sweepstakes. The South Asian nation is projected to grow 7.4% this year and 7.3% in 2019, as a far cry from German growth of 1.6% for each year, while 7.5% and the 7.3% coming in next year is basically less than before and before decades and before 2 to 3 years while Modi became the Prime Minister of India. So what do you think of India's growth? Is much higher than other countries, but it's basically lower than its India's original GDP when Prime Minister Modi took over the government from other Congress party. please give a thumbs up and follow us on social networks and subscribe to our channel. And thanks for watching. This is WEC Daily. Think big, think different. Bye.